Good afternoon, evening, morning, night, whatever it is, wherever you are, I hope it's going well for you. Today we're going to make a video and talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but I really just haven't yet for whatever reason, but I think now is the right time. Small disclaimer though, this is not to bash anybody. I'm not here to bash people who still love Destiny 2. Listen, if you like Destiny 2 the way it is, and even if you think, oh, it's perfect, don't change anything, good for you. I'm not here to tell you why you're wrong. I'm not here to tell you why I'm right. I'm just here to talk about how I feel and what I think about this game that I've invested so much time and money into in the past and would love to do in the future. I just can't see that happening right now. So if you still love Destiny 2, please still love Destiny 2. If you're ready to wait around for 6 years or however long it takes for them to get this right, please be ready to wait around for 6 years or however long it takes to get this right. I'm not doing this to bash Bungie. I'm not bashing the game. I'm not bashing players who like the game. I just want to talk about what I feel, and this is how I'm going to do that. So, Destiny 2 is in the news again, and it's not for a good reason. On the drive home today, I got an alert on my phone from a news article that Google found for me. They are kind enough to remember the things I search for, and they send me news articles that are related to interests that I have, and Destiny 2 is one of those things. So I got this article on my phone that I was reading, and I found it very interesting. It's from CNBC, so here's the article here. The headline says, Activision's Destiny 2 is struggling as gamers are unhappy over microtransactions, says an analyst. Let's go ahead and get into this article. I know that this video is not the most visually appealing, so please, if you want to be wowed and dazzled by charts and graphs, you might have to go watch a video from someone who gets paid to make this kind of stuff. So yeah, here we go. This is the website. It says, player interest in Activision Blizzard's Destiny 2 is dropping, which will hurt the game publisher's add-on revenue this year, one Wall Street firm predicts. So the interesting thing about this is that I'm not sure where this person gets their market analysis. I'm not sure where they get their numbers from. But this goes beyond just some salty kid on Reddit, on the Destiny subreddit that's posting, I hate Destiny, or Destiny 2, or people still play this game, and this is not some angry Warframe player that's just saying these random things. Like, this is getting bigger than us as an internal community now, and people from the outside, and the people involved with money decisions are starting to see this, and it's getting a little bigger, so it's interesting to see how the outside world's kind of reacting to this. I know how I reacted. I know how Reddit reacted. It's a freaking salt mine over there right now. So we know how we feel about it. So it's interesting to see how people who are not part of like the Destiny community at large kind of feel about this thing. So it says Cowen reiterated. I'm assuming Cowen is the Wall Street firm. Cowen reiterated its market perform rating on Activision Blizzard shares, citing increasing evidence players are leaving the Destiny community. I'm sure you can pretty much chalk that up to all the big streamers, the big YouTubers. They're kind of like leaving their, like, I make Destiny videos for a living, or I do Destiny analysis, whatever it may be. They're kind of leaving that behind, and they're letting their fan base know, be ready to see other content on this channel, whether it's a streamer or a YouTube, content creator, whatever it is. They're letting people know, like, we're going to move on from Destiny, and that's kind of, I think, is what's drumming up some of this investor fears, I guess, or just these conversations. I just have one request for content creators. Please, for the love of God, do not all just make videos about Fortnite. There's only so much of that I can watch. So for the sake of my eyes and my sanity, please have some variety on your channels. I would love it. I love watching stuff that you create. But if it's just about Fortnite, what if that game goes belly up in a year and you find yourself in the same place? Diversify your portfolio, please. All right, back to the task at hand here. It says, while Call of Duty World War II clearly had a great holiday, which likely sets up strong franchise live service revenue in 2018, Destiny 2 is struggling right now, with player engagement appearing to be on the wane. Analyst Doug Creutz wrote in a note to clients Tuesday entitled, Destiny is not in a good place. You know what's crazy? When this analyst guy is writing a report about Destiny and he says, I'm going to title this thing, Destiny is not in a good place. Like, that's just, yeah, that kind of says it all right there. He says, we are a bit cautious that potentially disappointing live service revenue with Destiny 2 could at least partially offset upside from Call of Duty in 2018, he said. So if you think about the holiday season, the analyst says that Call of Duty had strong sales numbers, which means they sold a large number of units, they pushed a lot of product, whatever you want to call it, they made good sales, and it's like, that's good revenue for the business. That's great. But then on the other hand, on the other side of the spectrum, you have Destiny 2, which is losing its fan base, and it's just not doing well right now. Like he says, Destiny is not in a good place. So if you think about the plus side of Call of Duty plus the negative of what happening with Destiny right now, they're definitely not bringing in a lot of new players, and they're not keeping the ones they currently have. If you look at those sales, the numbers, they kind of even out. So it's like you break even and you don't make any revenue, or it's not as much as you would expect. So even though Call of Duty having good sales numbers is a positive, on the other side, the sales numbers and retention for players and player engagement for Destiny 2 is not as good, so that kind of offsets, and it doesn't matter as much. It's not as nice. Krutz reaffirmed his $66 price target for Activision Blizzard shares, representing 7% downside to Monday's close. He said several key Destiny, we talked about this. He said several key Destiny video streamers have announced they will reduce content for the game in the future. He noted Twitch viewership for the game is at a franchise low. Franchise low. That's you got to think about that. Levels averaging 4,000 to 7,000 viewers on Friday afternoons versus 14,000 to 17,000 for Destiny 1 year ago. So that's like less than half in a year. Krutz also shared 4 key reasons why he believes the game is faltering. So this is the guy who did this analysis of where Destiny is, and he's the one that made the report that says Destiny is not in a good place right now. And to show investors, because this is what goes on in a large document, you have almost what's called like an executive summary. So instead of giving these people who are investors or his clients, instead of giving them 6 pages of here's why Destiny's bad and here's 6,000 Reddit posts, he gives them a couple pointers. It's about like giving you the good stuff up front and saying like, don't dig for these things. Here's why I think what I think. And this is what he came up with. Number 1. Design decisions were made that have made D2 a less engaging and less distinctive game than Destiny 1. In particular, key aspects of the D2 endgame feel neutered compared to D1. Now, unless you play as Destiny, I don't know how he knows that, but it's actually not a lie. It's not wrong. Part of what's going on with Destiny 2 is like you play the raid, and then you get the raid armor, which doesn't have any raid-specific perks, but it looks cool, and you know it's from the raid, but it doesn't really do anything extra in the raid, so it's not much different than anything else you get in the game. Then you get tokens on top of that to get more non-extra helpful raid gear. But then it's like, you know what, we're going to come out with a prestige raid. It's going to really amp the game up. And then you go play the prestige raid and you suffer through that thing because it's more difficult by design. And then you get purple armor now that's the same and still doesn't have any raid specific perks, and then you get tokens that aren't prestige tokens. They just get you normal stuff from the raid. Yeah, my team and I went through the raid and did the prestige part of it, and we got to the end and we're like, this is what we get for all this hard work, and we never did it again, so that's not good. Number 2. Microtransaction implementation, while not nearly as problematic as in Star Wars Battlefront 2, thank goodness, has still been a source of player unhappiness. And this is true. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of issue with microtransactions because, I mean, you don't have to buy them. But the problem with Destiny 2 is a lot of people are saying, well, it's just cosmetic stuff. Like, how can you be upset? You don't have to buy those things. True, you don't have to buy those things. But I think that part of the reason why, in point 1 that I talked about earlier, part of the reason why a lot of the gear and the armor doesn't really have any specific perks is so that it could be all the same like level. I mean, sure, it might give you more recovery or whatever it is, but it doesn't really, one piece of armor is not that much more helpful than another. And the problem with that is if Eververse is only cosmetic, then it's not a problem, right? But when you make every armor piece in the game cosmetic only for the most part, it's a problem. Because then I think that the reason they removed those like specific perks from armor is so they could lock so much of it behind Eververse, and that's not a good choice. That's my thought. Number 3. Bungie's, which is the studio that developed the game, apparent urgency in responding to player feedback has been disappointing. And this is what bothers me the most, I think. I understand that it takes time to develop a game. It takes time to play test, and it takes time to come up with ideas and to build them and to animate and to make all these changes to a game that's as large as Destiny 2. It's a AAA game. It's not like a little $5 indie thing that's coming out. It's a full-fledged game. But it seems like they're more than content to kind of give us like milestones down the road. And the part that always is in my mind as I'm playing now, I get that in 6 months or in 8 months or in fall or wherever it is, they want to implement these cool things. But I'm just wondering, and this is just me, because I once you kind of have some shady practices uncovered, I'm always wondering, like, what's the end game here? Why? I'm more concerned with why you make the decisions you make. So if you're saying, like, we're going to implement, it's going to be Masterwork Armor January 30th, like, we can put that in there. Like, yeah, that's great, and that's good that you're doing that soon. But what about the other changes you're going to make, like Mods 2.0 and all the other stuff you're going to do, like Efferverse? How hard is it to take that stuff from Efferverse and just move it to a loot pool that drops from activities? I don't know how long that takes. That's my ignorance in the process here. I don't know how long that takes, but how much of that stuff is going to, sneakily coincide with a new DLC release? Like, is the stuff they're going to implement soon but not right now, is that going to be for the next DLC? And the stuff in the fall, quote-unquote fall time 2018, is that going to somehow mysteriously coincide with the next big DLC update that you have to pay for? I don't know. At this point, I don't trust Bungie enough to say, like, they'd never do that, because they probably would. I'm not going to lie. They might. So that's kind of a problem. I don't know about that. I don't know if I can just live with that without knowing the dates. I understand it takes time, and you don't want to give a date that's not the right date, but I don't know. Is it gonna be snuck into some kind of DLC thing? Possibly, very possibly. Okay, number 4. Until recently, Bungie did a poor job communicating its roadmap going forward, particularly compared to the more open stance of many other live service games. So they say, like, the guy from Anthem, like the creator of the game or whatever, whoever he is, they're always like, he's on Reddit, man. He's responding to comments and he's telling us dates and he's giving us all this cool information. And Bungie doesn't do that. It's like, yeah, they haven't done that ever. So I don't know if that's a negative. It's just kind of how they operate. And it's proving to not be the best option for operation, for communication right now. And like, Fortnite does like dev updates daily or weekly or minute by minute. I don't know how often they do it, whatever. But it's different. Like, that Fortnite is not as big a game as Destiny 2. Fortnite has like the one map and they just added some areas to it, so it might be easier to make changes in that. I'm not really defending Bungie, but I'm saying, like, we got to be realistic with our expectations, because of course they can't like update us every week, because maybe changes are coming in and out and things are happening. It just takes more time because the ship is bigger to steer it, right? You see what I'm saying? So I do agree that other companies do have a better communication cycle. I think Bungie needs to work on that, but here's one thing I don't like, and this is just my opinion. I saw a YouTube video from a pretty popular YouTuber on YouTube, of course, and he makes Destiny videos, and his latest thing was like, I want to be positive about this, and that's good, that's great, be positive, please do. Find something for me to like about this. I want to be positive about this, and I have a responsibility to the community to tell them my thinking and my thought process on this and everything, and that's cool. But the title of the video was, Destiny has a communication problem, how do we fix it? And it's like, hey man, I don't work at Destiny, so it's not my job to fix their communication problem. A business is only as good as what a business puts out, and if your communication is bad, you guys need to go back to the drawing board and fix it. I'm the community, so I'm supposed to receive the product, and I can voice my opinion about how the product is working, and my opinion right now says this product is not very good. It is not my job to tell them how to fix it. There's a lot of people that go on like Reddit or Bungie.net forums, and they're like, hey Bungie, your game is dead, man. Here's like 40 ideas on how to fix your game. So if they're not listening to that, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. There's nothing I can do to say like, hey Bungie, you're not working out well. Let me come into your office and tell you how to communicate better. It's not my job to tell them how to do their job. So I'm not exactly sure, like, that line of thinking. I'm not sure what that's supposed to do. What do we accomplish? Like, we just, instead of having a bunch of things, instead of having a Reddit list of here's the things that's wrong with Destiny, now we just have a Reddit list of here's what I think they could do to fix it. But if Bungie decides not to listen to that, or they are listening but they're going to implement it later, or not at all, if they decide not to use that stuff, what else can I, as a consumer, what else can I do? That's it. I've voiced my opinion. I've told them how I feel, how I think. They said they're listening, and I hope they are. But aside from that, there's nothing else I can do. Like, that's it. I can't. Nothing. There's nothing. All right, moving on to the end of this article. It says, as a result, the analyst is not optimistic the company will be able to turn the Destiny franchise around. That's what I'm really concerned about. It's like, they're saying, oh, there's like two camps right now. One camp says, hey guys, they're listening. They're going to fix it eventually. Stick with it, man. They've done it before. There's another camp that says they should have already known how to do that because they just made Destiny 1. And now they're just giving us things that were in Destiny 1 that aren't in Destiny 2, so we're just paying double for Destiny 1. And I agree on both sides. I think that they will eventually make it better, but I don't know if I personally am willing to wait around for as long as it's going to take. It took Destiny 1 like 3 or 4 years, 5 years to get where it was when we left it. So I don't know if I'm willing to sit through the same mistakes again and keep paying, money into a franchise that just isn't getting it right. I'm not sure if that's possible for me. He continues, we do think Bungie still has some opportunity to fix the game's problems over the next year and recapture engagement, but we're not sure they have the ability to pull it off at this point, he wrote. We also note that Destiny currently has more serious competition in its genre from a refurbished Division and the indie title Warframe than it did 3 years ago, when D1 had its own share of player dissatisfaction. So what he's saying is, we don't know if at this point they can turn it around. They did 3 years ago, but at that time they didn't have the level of competition that they currently have. So it's like when you go to the DMV or you go to the Secretary of State. In Michigan, it's called Secretary of State. You go in to renew your license plate tabs or you're getting your license renewed, and you go in there and you have to wait for 3 days, it feels like, and you're in there with the most miserable people on earth because everyone doesn't want to be there, but they have to be there. I often ask myself while I'm sitting there, I wonder if this place, this government location, if they had any direct competition, would people still go here? And the answer is no. If they had anyone that actually tried 5%, 10%, 15% more than they did, nobody would go to that place. But since it's the only one, you have to go there, they pretty much can treat customer service like it doesn't matter. So when Destiny 1 was out, what he's saying here is that 3 years ago, when Destiny 1 had its own share of player dissatisfaction, and Destiny players have been salty since day one, so that's just kind of how it is. We go up and down, there's content droughts, blah, 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 whatever, weapon patches, you name it. But at that time, there wasn't as much direct competition. There wasn't as many games to go to, is what he's saying. And that may be true. They don't have the level of competition they had at that one time. So the last line of this is, the company did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and I'm sure they wouldn't because, whatever, why not? So my overall thoughts on this is that I kind of agree with this guy. I see his points, point 1, 2, 3, and 4 there. The design decisions weren't that great. They kind of reverted a lot of things from Destiny 1 they just put in, which is puzzling. I don't know how that happens, but, whatever. Microtransaction implementation, Bungie themselves have also agreed we've gone too far on that. Maybe we tipped the scales a little too much. And yeah, I think you did. We could have told you that in the beginning. I remember back in the day when the beta came out and we were just distraught over the shader problem. If only we knew the monsoon of problems that would come after. It's just that's a small thing compared to some of the stuff we're facing. He says the urgency in responding to player feedback has been disappointing. That's also true. Until recently, Bungie did a poor job communicating its roadmap going forward. I don't know why they did that. Even when Destiny 2 came out, honestly, in my opinion, I don't remember anyone asking for Destiny 2. I wasn't playing Rise of Iron. I wasn't playing Age of Triumph and doing my book stuff and getting those completed and having a good time. Riding around on my broom sparrow, which I dearly miss. I wasn't doing those things thinking to myself, what would be great right now? This game is pretty good, but what would be even better? Destiny 2. I never thought that. I wasn't asking for them to make Destiny 2. They could have just kept going with content updates and DLCs and expansion packs and stuff like that. I would have been okay with that because I would have known what I'm getting. But then, some leak from some Italian under the table GameStop was like, hey, here's a a poster of Destiny 2 and with some kind of stuff on it. And all of a sudden everyone's like, hey, is Destiny 2 coming out? And then that was kind of like the lid off the can of beans, right? And then they started talking about Destiny 2, and then trailers came out, and all of a sudden September is when it's going to be released, and then it came out. I don't remember asking for that. I would have gladly stuck with Destiny 1 and just had updates and still play a game that I like, than have them revamp the whole thing and just make it something unrecognizable, I'm not one of those salty guys that's just going to go on Reddit and then just bash the game to get upvotes or whatever. I don't really care about that. What I do care about, though, is that I really wanted Destiny 2 to be a game that I could play and continue to play for a long, long time and enjoy sinking as much time into Destiny 2 as I did Destiny 1. And it's just not that. That's what bothers me. I bought this on good faith. I pre-ordered this game on both Xbox and PC because I'm like, hey man, Destiny 1 is pretty good, but how amazing is this going to look on PC with the increased frame rates and the better visuals? So I was like, you know what, here's some money, I'm going to pre-order this. They gave me the cold heart, and then I started playing it, and I was like, this is not the same thing, Bungie, what's happening? And then as we went on along, farther and farther, things just got crazier, and I don't know how to fix that. Like, that's not my thing to fix. I just know that it doesn't feel the same. It's not the same as the first one. So my biggest disappointment with the game is not the current state that it's in. I think the game is okay. I play it every once in a while. No one else is playing it that I know, so that's kind of sad. I wrote as a joke in a post I recently made. I said, the hardest thing about completing the Nightfall in Destiny right now is actually finding enough people to complete the Nightfall in Destiny right now. So that's kind of the state of things. I don't think the game is trash or bad. I just don't know if I can continue to put money into this thing and just wait for them to give me, like, we'll get to it someday, kiddo. Like, maybe eventually we'll get to that stuff. Like, give me some dates. Like, what are you doing for me right now? And get some urgency, man. Like, this stuff is serious. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Bungie's purposely tanking the game. I don't think Activision made them do anything. So these are my thoughts on Destiny 2. I read this article and it was interesting because it's not just your usual, I hate Destiny, blah, 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 give me a refund, I can't believe people still play this stuff, Warframe is better post. It was actually something that's going on outside the Destiny community. People that invest money in these types of things, people that are interested in these kind of stock tradings, they're reading this stuff. So if they're seeing it, it's going beyond. I think that just kind of increases Bungie's problems. And maybe it'll bring more clarity and more urgency to how they're responding to the complaints. Anyways, if you like this, that's great. Thanks for listening this far. And if you didn't like it, I don't know what to tell you. These are my opinions and my thoughts, and they are my own. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully it's better. And on to play some massive amounts of Fortnite. JK, not really.